Sounds like you were pretty busy day to day, working a job, flipping couches, and then job ended. That gave you a little bit of time to step back, reflect, calibrate, think about what you really want to do.
So I owe 4,800 the last time I looked at it, and the IRS, I think I owe them like
If you made 130K revenue flipping couches, that definitely separates you from the median couch flipper. That's like closer to top 10, 20% of couch flippers.
my couches. I think I remember I was spending around 5 to 8 grand on sofas. I did have a truck too.
A lot of people are working full-time jobs, 50, 60 hours a week. They're barely scraping by, and like a sudden accident or an unexpected expense could put them significantly under the water. And so I think a lot of Welcome to another episode of The Couch Coach. Today I'm joined by Armando, also known as AJ, owner of All In Couches based out in San Antonio, Texas. Armando, thank you so much for joining me on the pod today.
Of course.
So tell us, like, how long have you been flipping and how are things with business right now?
I've been flipping since 2020.
Okay, cool. And is it full-time for you now?
At the moment, I'm job searching right now though.
What were you doing? Like, there was a period of time where you're flipping couches and you had a different job. Like, what were you doing recently?
Are you familiar with epoxy?
Like the resin?
Yeah, like when you put the epoxy on garage floors.
Oh, yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah, I was working for a company doing that and just selling sofas on the side. Yeah, for me right now, having a job and selling sofas works for me well. I don't fully trust myself going by myself couch flipping right now, though. Just need to add a couple things before I can go on my own again.
I see. I mean, it would probably help if you saw steady increasing cash flow month over month.
Right.
That would probably give you the confidence to jump in fully.
Yes.
Why'd you stop doing the epoxy thing?
I wanted to find another job.
I see. Was it like not paying enough or you just didn't like the work?
The work was great and the pay was great. I kind of don't want to give a little too much detail. We just had to go our separate ways.
I see. Okay. Got it. How long has it been since you've had full-time employment and now you're just flipping couches for income?
I was there for a good 6 months.
Back then, how much of your income was coming in through epoxy and how much of your income was coming in through couches?
So my recent check was $780, but that's without taxes taken out. I would get around like $2,000 a month from my job, like 2,000 and some change. And then from sofas, I would sell 3 sofas out of 1 month or just 2 sofas. And I would get, $200 to $300 profit on them. That pays my bills.
That's enough, right? Yeah. Cover your ass.
Right.
You can live off $1,000 a month in San Antonio. That's amazing.
Yeah, basically. You still need a little more, but yeah, you could basically live like $1,000.
Well, I guess you're keeping your cost of living home like really low. Are you still living at home?
Yeah, I live with my dad. I pay him like 700. Yeah, like recently I gave him 700 for the month. But yeah, that's one of my bills.
How old are you, Armando?
I'm 27.
And as you think to the future, like, do you genuinely want to find full-time employment, or if the couch flipping thing was really taking off, do you think you would focus more on that?
Oh yeah, I would definitely focus on that. I definitely, with sofas and social media.
Oh, so you want to create some content too?
Yes.
And is the content about couch flipping, or what is the content about?
Just mainly lifestyle. But I kind of take a step back, and this taking a step back has felt good.
Sounds like you were pretty busy day to day, working a job, flipping couches, and then job ended. That gave you a little bit of time to step back, reflect, calibrate, think about what you really want to do.
Yeah.
So how is the couch flipping business doing today? How many couches have you sold like the last 30 days?
4 just in this month.
And you're making about $250 per flip.
Yeah, around there. Sometimes more. You know how it is.
Right. And that's enough to cover your bills. But if you want to live comfortably, you need to make more money on top of that. So what would you say your short-term goals are with the couch flipping? Like, how much profit do you need to make? Or do you want to make, let's say, in like 3 months from now?
Yeah, I mean, even if I had 1,000 on top of my bills, like if I had to take 1,000 or even 2,000 on top of my bills to like put away, that would be awesome. I know it doesn't sound like much, but
No, look, it's, your goals are relative, right? Like, and different people want different things out of their life and their business. Taking your couch flipping thing and making a seven-figure furniture business is not for everyone. There's a lot of stress. There's a lot of moving parts for that. The guys that I know that are hitting those kinds of numbers, they work a lot. Those are the kinds of guys. They're up at 6 a.m. They go to the gym. They spend 10, 12 hours at work. They work 6 days a week, maybe one day off, right? That's not for everyone. And so there's no right or wrong answer. It's just you have to know what you want. And if that's really what you want, are you being realistic with yourself about what it takes to get there? I guess the question for you is like, why not aim a little bit higher? Because I think $3,000 is very achievable. 30 minutes of us talking today, I'm going to give you a roadmap for getting to $3,000 a month. It's going to be pretty straightforward. And in fact, like I think most people can probably shoot a little bit higher than just 3,000. So why not 5? Why not 6?
yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? You're open-minded. So I guess the thing that is stopping you from doing it is like the know-how of how to get there.
Right.
I hope to make that explicit, really, really clear. I think, when you're talking about people scaling up from just a couple flips a month to 10 or 20 flips, making like in the neighborhood of $5,000-6,000. If you're willing to put in the work, the formula is there. Like it's not like we're building like a new AI model, not to put down couch flipping as a business or anything like that, but it's not a new frontier of work that we're discovering. Over the past couple of years, I think the business model has become very clear. And that's part of our work at Ivy Flip to try and educate people and get them more aware of like, okay, if you're stuck at some point in your business, here's some advice. Here's some strategies and tactics that you can implement in your business today and start bringing home some more paychecks.
Yes.
Prior to us starting the podcast, you had mentioned that you have a little bit of debt too, right?
Yeah, I do.
Do you mind sharing like what we're looking at?
Are you familiar with tax comptroller?
Comptroller, no, but I know a little bit about taxes. Yeah.
So this one's kind of different from the IRS. So I owe 4,800 the last time I looked at it, and the IRS, I think I owe them like around like 10K or something like that. To give you a little backstory, I ended up telling the IRS what I made in cash. I found out real quick that that was not a good idea. So I'm paying for it right now. My revenue was like 130,000 in a year. So, and I told him every dime that I made. Why did I do that? Is because I wanted a house. And I was like, man, why do I have to wait 2 years when I already have like stuff documented? I really wanted it, and now I'm like really far from it. But yeah, that's like my little rundown of my debt.
Like there was one tax year, right, where you made 100K and then you reported all of the income.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you were probably reporting something, but it wasn't 100,000. It was probably like 20.
Oh, I'm saying, oh, you're like the profit, right?
No. So you said you made 130 in 1 year,
Yeah.
and that was revenue.
Revenue, yes.
And that was between your job and the couch flipping.
No, that was when I was on my own.
You made $130,000 in a year from couch flipping.
Yeah, I think around like in 2021, 22, around there.
That was all couch money.
All couch money.
If you made 130K revenue flipping couches, that definitely separates you from the median couch flipper. That's like closer to top 10, 20% of couch flippers are the guys that are making 6 figures a year. And so you've kind of scaled all the way to the top. But like the thing that you didn't account for is paying taxes on that money. And so let's say you made 130, maybe your profit margin on that, I would guess is like 70%.
I think it was around like 40K in profit.
So you spent 90,000 on the business, but you made 40K in profit.
Yeah, like around there.
Where did all those expenses come from?
Like you're basically saying, like, where did all the money go?
So like what I see for most flippers, if you're selling like used couches on Facebook, I tend to see higher profit margins, like in the neighborhood of like 70 to 80% gross profit margin. So that means you buy a couch for 200, you flip it for 1,000. You buy it for 100, you flip it for 5, right? Something like that. That would be a 80% gross profit margin. And then as you get into like new products or let's say liquidations, you might have to pay more, but your revenue also tends to increase as a function of that. And so then your gross profits may go down to like 50 or even 30, like 40%. But if you made 130K and then $90,000 of that went out the door and you only made 40, that means your margin was like, your net profit margin was like 30%. So
Yeah, it was low.
like, what were you spending money on? Was it like did you have a warehouse or?
Yeah, my storage unit, I was paying 1,500.
It's a big storage unit. It's basically a warehouse, right?
Right. And I was paying my truck. My truck payment was like 500 on top of my insurance was 200. Just those two alone was pretty pricey. And then my couches, I think I remember I was spending around 5 to 8 grand on sofas. I did have a truck too. I had a beater truck, and I was like, my truck went out every other month, man.
And that was the truck you were paying 500 on, or you had a different truck too?
The one that I'm paying 500 on was my F-150 that I got brand new. Well, not brand new, just used 50K miles on it. So it's been reliable. I've had it for 3 years. It's been running great. So that's my reliable truck right now.
Do you have an LLC?
I closed it recently.
And did you purchase the F-150 under the business or was it personal?
Under the business.
Okay, so you're deducting like the full amount.
Yeah, out of the down payment.
Other than down payment. Okay. So you ended up declaring $40,000 in profit. And out of that, you got to save like 25, 30, at least 25%.
Right.
Probably a little bit closer to 30. And that's where we're getting this 10K owed to the IRS.
Right.
And since like you did the reporting, like what have you been telling the IRS since then? Yeah.
Dude, I haven't been telling them anything.
But you've been filing taxes though. You're just not reporting.
I haven't been filing taxes.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, dude, like like I said that I was working for the past 5 months. Oh my gosh, bro, I was barely scraping by just like 7 months ago. I mean, everyone goes through like a rough season, right? It's just been tough. I've been toughing it out and I'm getting better as I go. It's looking bright from where I'm at as me taking a step back.
I love the attitude. And if you're going to pull yourself out of your situation into a better one, like you're going to need to maintain that mindset. Everyone definitely does go through these ups and downs. I've certainly been through my fair share as an entrepreneur my entire career. A lot of times scraping the bottom of my bank account balance, like wondering how I'm going to make things work. But at the end of the day, and maybe I'm blessed, things always had a way of working themselves out. Like you get what you need. At least for me, I always got what I needed. And I think part of that is because like I am infatigable, right? Like I'm not always doing exactly what I should be doing and I don't always get the results that I should get, but I really, really never give up. And if you have that in you as well, and I think you do, just from like your positivity on the call so far, like you're going to figure it out. And if we can get you set up with a good plan, like even better.
Dude, yes.
So about 15K in debt. Are you putting tax debt too? And this is serious. Like the IRS, you don't pay the IRS, they'll put you in jail. Yeah.
Right. Yes, I do. I am saving. I do have some stacked money right now. I don't want to say how much, but I do have some. I'm getting prepared for them.
So are you making payments on the debt at least? You have like a payment plan set up with them?
No, I don't. I should get on that.
You should get on that. Yeah. I mean,
right now, yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's step one of your plan. And I'm going to take a step back too with you. And today we were supposed to talk about couch flipping, how to grow the couch flipping business. But I think we need to look at this from the lens of your personal finances first before we can get into the commercial aspect, because these two things are intermingled, especially, and this is a common scenario for many couch flippers, right? Like it's not easy being middle class in America right now. A lot of people are working full-time jobs, 50, 60 hours a week. They're barely scraping by, and like a sudden accident or an unexpected expense could put them significantly under the water. And so I think a lot of people turn to couch flipping because they're in these tough financial situations. And let's say you have you have a safety net. It's easier to take risk. It's easier to make certain decisions. But if you're constantly stressed out, worrying about how you're going to pay bills and how you're going to do this or that, that materially implicates your ability to make good business decisions. So I think we need to take a step back and kind of look at this from the lens of personal finance a little bit too. And so I'm not an advisor in this regard. I have no certification, so take anything and everything I say with a grain of salt. But I've also been there, and I've also worked with a lot of people that have been in this exact situation, and I can at least relate to you from that perspective. So the very first thing it sounds like you need to do is get real with the debt, is get real with what the actual numbers are. Because the thought process right now, and I understand this intimately, is, well, I don't have the money and I can't really afford to pay it off. So I'm going to wait to get to a future point where I feel more secure and I do have that cash flow coming in. And that's when I'm going to take care of it. And that's when I'm going to address the reality of what the situation is. The thing is, that perfect moment is never going to come. Probably very, very unlikely unless you like someday inherit like a bunch of cash, right? Like there's never going to be a day where your bank account all of a sudden is just flush with cash. That just doesn't happen. You don't make sudden windfalls like that. Your ability to accrue wealth happens incrementally, slowly over time. And so that's why you need to put a plan in place today that allows you to add that incremental revenue into your bank account balance day over day, month over month. So it's not going to be this like you wake up one day and it's like, all right, I'm ready to pay the IRS. It's more like confront the reality as it is today, figure out exactly how much you owe, get on a payment plan, at least show that you want to be resolving the debt in good faith, be at least paying like the interest on what you owe. And then as that's happening, you can start to grow your revenues and you can partition off more and more from what you're making towards the resolution of your debt. What you're trying to do, right, I imagine, is staying under the radar, and then you're going to save up like $14,000-$20,000, and then you want to just pay it off in a lump sum, something like that, right? What this reminds me of is my thought process around investing, right? I was like, well, I don't have money to invest. Why should I be investing? For a long time, and I grew up poor, and I saw my family go through tough financial times where we just didn't have money. Money felt like security to me. Having a lot of cash on hand in my bank account gave me security. So if something happens, at least I can live on the cash for a period of months or a year or something like that. What ends up happening is because I'm just saving the cash and I'm not putting anything away in investments, that cash is not growing. And then things happen over the course of life. So I have an expense I need to pay for. I take a vacation. I end up spending that money that's in my savings account, and it never gets to that like threshold where I feel like it's worthy of investing. And if I had started 10 years ago, adequately invested nowadays, relative to my income. But if I had started 10 years ago, I would have put much more away, and that income would have compounded over time. And I just would have a lot more wealth, or a bigger nest egg that I'm sitting on top of, because I was being more proactive in my approach. So first piece of advice here is do not wait. If you're sitting on debts that you know you have, in IRS debts, those do not get discharged. They may get discounted. You need to get in communication with them, figure out how much you owe, see if there's like discounts that you're eligible for, or grants or fee abations that you're eligible for. Get those applied, and then get on a payment plan ASAP. And you should be filing taxes every year. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you had a year recently where you reported $130,000 in revenue, 40K profit, that's income. And then all of a sudden you stop filing taxes. That looks very suspicious. And so it's just a matter of time before they audit you. If you're totally not filing taxes, that puts you at extreme audit risk. And so they're going to come to you and say, you're not filing taxes, but you probably owe us money, and they're going to start poking around your bank account.
Yeah, they like literally froze my bank account. Like they took money from my bank account.
Got it. So they're garnishing your wages.
Yes, they are doing that.
They're doing that right now.
Well, I don't even have a bank account.
Right. Yeah. Because so you switch to an all cash modality, and so they can't garnish your wages.
Right.
So they know you owe money and they're trying to collect it, and you're trying to fly under the radar. You cannot hide from the government, man. You cannot hide from the
I
government.
agree with you. I agree.
You got to go head on. You got to use ChatGPT. Maybe there's some free resources like online, like from your local municipality, free resources like financial counseling that you can apply for, and they'll help like walk you through this process. But that's like, first and foremost. So that's the first thing. Getting very clear on like what you actually need, like what you need for your personal, what you need to pay the government. And then from there, now we can start thinking about how do you grow your business.
The fun part.
The fun part. So, yeah, so
Who knows? Maybe that's the hard part.
a little bit of both. I mean, I think for couch flippers, they do it because that's what they enjoy. And they like being able to work for themselves and they like the thrill of finding and flipping deals. So you should, I think no matter what you do, if you're spending time on it, you should try to have some enjoyment and definitely have some pride in what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you could be, mopping floors. There's no job that is beneath any one person, I think. Here's what I'm trying to understand. So you went from 130K revenue a year. So that's like $10,000 revenue per month. Let's say you're making 4 grand profit per month. And nowadays you're doing about 20-25% of the volume and the profit that you used to do. Because you already have that context and you have that experience where you're making a lot of money, do you feel like you know what you need to do to get back there?
Yeah, I do. Finding the deals, having some space, that's pretty much it. Just keep on finding the sofas.
At its core, it's like that. It is that simple. Find good deals, hustle hard, clean them up, post them, make them look nice, make profit. So, let's say you're doing 3 to 4 couches a month right now. What's stopping you from doing 10, 15, or 20 couches a month?
Nothing really. I use my dad's house to flip my sofas. And since the sectionals sell pretty fast, I'm able to bring in more inventory instead of just sitting on inventory. Because sitting on inventory for me personally it only allows me to do like 3 or 4 a month.
How many sectionals can you fit in your dad's house?
5.
5 at a time. And so I'm guessing that's the major constraint on the business today is just like at a certain point you get full and you don't have more space to be buying. And so you're kind of waiting for your items to sell before you're doing anything.
I mean, I haven't ran into that problem yet of being too full. Just
Got it.
because the
So
sectionals sell really fast.
so why not pick up more?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm in the process of getting more, but I totally agree with you because like why not? Why not? If you say you want to make like 5K, that's what it takes, getting more. But yeah, I'm literally like just last month I was doing like 4 couches a month. Now, well actually this month of okay, but month before May, I that's the best month I have had in a while.
In April. How'd you do in April?
I did pretty well. I mean, I would have to count again, but compared to 4, I just in 1 week I remember I did 6. I did 6 sales, and that was nice.
You had a good month last month, about 6 couches. You feel like there's nothing that's stopping you from growing the business right now. Like at least to get to like where you were previously, you feel like you know what to do.
Yes,
What is stopping you then? Or what has been stopping you? What's been the roadblock?
definitely scared of that debt. I don't want to like go full throttle right now and then get stopped. You know what I mean? Because of the taxes.
No, it's like very psychologically nuanced, right? So it's like you feel like you know what to do, but then you're scared. But if you know what to do, why would you be scared?
Ooh, that makes a lot of sense. So the honest truth answer then, I don't know what to do then.
Yeah. So, and it could be that like you know what to do, but the path that involves risk, there's execution risk and there's market risk. So there's risk in anything entrepreneurial, but you're going to do this anyway. So you're going to take that risk on anyway. So I guess the issue then becomes as you start executing and going down this path, do you run into an issue that you don't know how to overcome? Because as long as when there are problems, you have solutions, then you can maneuver around the problems and continue to grow your business. So do you think that's kind of the situation? It's like you have a general sense of what you need to do, but when it really comes down to it and there's like a slow week or a couch that won't sell, you're scared that's going to happen. You're not going to know what to do in that situation.
Yeah, definitely. Now that you brought it up like that, dude, that makes so much sense. I don't know. I don't know how to get back to where I was. I kind of hate that is the truth, but man, I kind of need to hear that.
If all I can do is just help you be real with yourself, and I'm just, I'm not saying anything new really. I'm just saying what you're saying back to you.
No, no, it makes sense.
Yeah, as a sounding board. So cool. Well, let's dig into that. Right out of the gate, and I've said this on many coaching calls and podcasts. Very first thing you need to do, you're kind of just side hustling, flipping couches, trying to get to that next level, making at least $5,000 profit a month. You got to get busier. You got to get busier. You can't be waiting around to be doing things. What does that mean? If you can only fit 5 sectionals in your dad's garage and you're not even hitting that limit, it means you're simply not picking up enough couches. The first problem you should have here is, fuck, I need more space, right? Like the fact that you're not even getting to the point where you can fit 5 sectionals and you're not at capacity all the time indicates that you are not picking up enough couches. You're simply not busy enough. And so why is that? Why aren't you picking up enough couches? And I think I have a guess, but like I want to hear it from you.
I think it roots from the me being scared, not kind of paying attention to it as much. But I do still like to pick up sofas because I mean, I'm not like committed, I'm just like committed to like, oh, okay, a few couches, sweet. All right, let's go. You know what I mean?
You're not putting the pressure on yourself to go make those pickups. So if I were to reframe this a little, you're on Facebook Marketplace, you're looking for deals, you have 3 couches in your garage, you probably have space for 2 more. You look at a couch, and you're like, it's just a little too expensive. Like if it was $100, I'd do it, but at 120, like, I don't know. Or like, oh, I would go pick up this couch, but it's like 10 miles further than like what I want to be. I kind of want to stay in this 20-mile radius, is 30 miles away. Is it something like that where like you can't find deals that you think are worth your time?
Yeah. Like lately, I've just been finding sofas that I don't clean. I think I've cleaned out of like the past 10 to 8 couches, I've only cleaned one. So I haven't cleaned in a while.
So you're finding couches that are like in good condition that you can just flip. You're basically cherry picking your opportunities, right? You have like a limited amount of space, limited amount of time, and you basically just want the good deals. And everything else that doesn't exactly fit that buy box, you're kind of like, it's not worth my time. Very first point of inflection point in the business is this. Right now, your time is not worth that much. Unfortunately, right? So it's like, you're like, oh man, it's like a little bit too far. It's a little bit too dirty. It's a little bit too expensive. It's just not the perfect couch. You have to get rid of that mindset. Until you are busy, your time is not that valuable. Because if you're busy, like you're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, now your time has opportunity cost. Because an hour doing X could instead be spent doing Y, which is more profitable. And so there's a trade-off between doing X and Y. But if the choice is between picking up a couch or sitting on a couch, there is actually no opportunity cost. You should just be picking up couches.
Agreed. So just clean. Clean if you need to.
Clean if you need to, right? Like if you're selling 4 couches a month, that's like 1 a week. You're working maybe like 5 hours a week.
Yeah, something around there.
Yeah, it's just not going to cut it. People always tell me like, should I be optimizing for profit, like profit per flip? Should I be optimizing for like higher sale price? The very first thing you need to optimize for is just getting busy. If you're sitting on your couch waiting for things to happen, that's not how you're going to grow your business. You need to be very proactive. You need to find ways to keep yourself busy. And with business, it's like an infinite game, right? Like there's always something you could be doing for your business. Whether or not it's like a good use of your time is a different question, but there's always things to be doing. And if you're only spending 5 hours a week on your business, it's not really a business. So get busier. And what you're going to find is as you get busy, now you can start making these trade-off decisions, which is, okay, I only have 50 hours a week and like my time is limited. I could go pick up this couch for $150, but there's another couch that is in perfect condition for 200. It's a little bit further out. Maybe I take a risk and I go and get that couch instead. Now you actually have a trade-off, right? And so you're actually making a decision between one thing that can make you money and another thing that can make you money. And you have to start picking over time the things that are going to make you more money. You have an actual decision that involves an opportunity, a trade-off where opportunity cost. But if you're not doing anything with that time and not making any money, then anything is better than that, right? Anything that makes any money is better than something that makes you no money.
Agreed.
So you're going to get to this point where you start getting busy and you have these trade-off decisions, and it's going to be like, okay, dad's garage is full and now I have nothing to do because all the couches are in inventory, they're cleaned, they're listed. Now you're going to feel like I have to wait for something, and like you have to wait for one of those couches to sell and wait for another deal to appear on marketplace, and that's going to open up your bandwidth to do things. This is once again the wrong mindset, because this is going to happen to you pretty quickly. right? Because if you go from 5 hours a week to 10 hours a week, your dad's garage is going to be full. And so this initial limitation is going to come quickly, which is you're space constrained. And so when you hit that first roadblock, the tendency is going to be to wait for that couch to sell. It would be better to push through it. And so this is where you're going to take on risk. And this is where the debt is going to be scary again. Because now you're like, oh shit, I have to spend money. Like now I'm taking on an expense to grow the business. This is where the risk comes in, because right now you don't have risk. It's like all the operations are paid for basically. So this is going to be the first area in which you start to encounter risk, which is my space is full. And if I want to keep staying busy, I need to get more space. You're going to have to find another storage unit. Now, the lesson I would learn from your past experience, maybe you don't need a $1,500 lease out of the gate, right? You could probably get around with like a $200, $300 storage unit and you get the first month for free. So that's the first thing that you're going to tack on to your existing operation, is just a storage unit where you can put more inventory. Try to find something that's like relatively proximate to your house or in another strategic location, aka close to where your customers are going to be. Try to find one that has decent pricing per square foot. Things like how you can access the storage unit. Do they have like electricity outlets, etc.? These are all things to keep in mind. But this is also where your past experience is going to kick in, because you've been in that situation before. So I don't need to explain all of like how to select a storage unit and how to operate with the storage unit. So you've already figured that part out. But I imagine this is like the first roadblock that you're going to hit, is you fill up the space. I need more space, but that's going to cost money. Do I really want to be spending money? And why do you get stuck there? It's because now you're scared. I'm spending money. What if I don't make it back? What if I don't make it back? I'm putting in more money, and that just increases my debt. It increases my expenses. But am I really going to be making that money back? And that's where you have to believe in yourself and also in your strategies. So the next frontier is, do you feel confident that if you had 20 couches in inventory that you could sell all of that inventory?
Yeah, especially if I knew what I was getting.
So you feel confident on the sales.
I do.
That's because today when you get a sectional, that's the perfect sectional, you sell it pretty quickly.
Yes.
How quickly do you turn over that inventory?
Sometimes it's like a couple days. I do have like a brown sectional that's been taking over a week. And I do have this other one that's been kind of taking a little long, but I've been like posting ads kind of at 12 and then at 6. And I did it again the next day. And I'm getting messages, but yesterday I didn't do it. Today I was about to do it, but then, I did a call with you. Still not an excuse. But yeah, I'll post like very similar couches that I've gotten before. I'll post it again just to, if they say, hey, it's available, I'll just, I have like a script to say, so like, oh yeah, I have this one instead. But yeah, that's one of the ways that I keep busy. But yeah, I do agree that, dude, who do you think you are, bro? Like your time's not worth that right now to just like keep cherry picking. I mean, sometimes it is nice to cherry pick, but that's a luxury. It's a luxury that I don't really got. I don't have that luxury.
You got bills to pay.
Yeah, I got bills.
You got taxes, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. I'm living in a different reality. It's wild.
Well, look, we could get more into like how to sell and how to list, and because after you fill up the garage and you get your storage unit, that's probably the next roadblock that you're going to face is, okay, now I have the space, now I have the inventory, how do I sell it? You will go through slow periods. Everyone does. And I think as what we've been noticing is that as your marketplace account gets more established and you start boosting, flippers have complained that they feel like their views are getting throttled and it becomes more pay to play, and that the same traction that you used to get just organically for free is harder to come by. And so that will be a challenge for you. It is a challenge for anyone as they grow. It's this balance between supply and demand, right? Sales and inventory. So first you need to shore up kind of the inventory issue, and then eventually you're going to butt heads with the sales issue. But I also don't think you need to worry about that today. Just for like the next month, at least. It's really simple advice.
I'm glad. It's crazy that I haven't acted on it. It's wild. I appreciate you giving me the advice because I'm heavily going to consider it. It is kind of ridiculous that I don't know what I owe exactly. You know, I like to think that I'm the kind of person that I like to face my fears, but as I'm showing like right now, I haven't been facing my fears. Yeah, I'm gonna take your advice because I do need to know.
I think you have like a really positive mindset and a humility to you. Like some of the stuff I've said could brush people the wrong way, and you just took it in stride. And you're like, you know what, dude, you're right. And that's a really good sign. And sometimes you just need a wake up call because the people around you aren't giving you this feedback. And you're not, and like you haven't had the opportunity to sit down and reflect and like figure that out from within. And so if all I can do in this conversation is be a catalyst for you, open your eyes a little bit and say, like, hey, wake up, like, let's get moving, right?
Yeah,
Maybe that's the spark you need, and that's really what we're in this game to do, right? This is why we do the coaching calls. This is why we run the mastermind. We have the suite of products that helps you flip and support your hustle. Is like I love having conversations like this, people that are feeling stuck, that want an opportunity, that are willing to work hard. And you've given me a lot of really green flags, some red flags too, don't get me wrong, but you've given me a lot of green flags. I have confidence that you're going to work it out. And if you need to check in with me in the future, I would love to hear from you in like a month or two and just see how things are going.
of course.
Well, Armando, thank you so much for hopping on this episode of the Couch Coach. Looking forward to getting an update story from you in a short while. And if nothing else, we'll talk soon.
All right, Charles. Nice to meet you, man.
Thanks, Armando. Ciao.